What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here I am doing another review. Why, you may ask? Well, because of the fact that we're celebrating the official premiere movie premiere. Got my words mixed up. The official movie premiere of the release of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I just got back from going to my local AMC cinema to actually to be watching it on premiere day. Technically, I honestly watched it 2 days ago, well, yesterday on the 4th, and I got some goodies. So before I get into my this will be a spoiler-free review because I'm not one of those people who like to do spoilers. I may throw in a bits of, I might say one or two things. I might give a one or two few sprinkles in this to actually just tell you guys that it's worth it. But let's just jump into the part where I show you what I picked up, because it's all worth it. All right, first we got the casual the metal tin popcorn bucket that includes Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, the Marionette, and Balloon Boy. Fuck this dude. Even in the movie, this bitch is annoying. But yes, so like Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Honestly, just your generic one. It's still very cool. I love, like, you can probably see from the light, but like, it has like that. It's not only glossy, but it has like each animatronic being embroidered or embossed. I don't know what the word is, but where you can feel the texture and stuff like that. So you can see that. There's that, right? I got the matching cup that went with it right here. I still have some soda left in this. That's good soda. And of course, had to go with my girl Toy Chica, because she's also voiced by Megan Fox. So that means there's two reasons why I love Toy Chica in this movie. Megan Fox and Toy Chica, in case you didn't know. I can't help it, okay? Look at her. She has no business being that thick. Can't be showing that. They have no business making her this thick, though. I'm going to be honest with you. But there's also the cupcake with moving eyes. This one I did not use as a cup. This is going to be more as a collectible, but I may still use it as a cup. I'm taking my niece to see it this Sunday, so I might use this. So, or I might let her use the cupcake. But either way, there's that. Yeah, it's really funny because like you can make him look like derpy. I don't know, he's looking at people, There's no thoughts behind these eyes, folks. Now, also, I will say that the bottom, in order to take it off, it just screws. So I will honestly say that it's just typical, typical thing. So, yeah, you just screw that on and, oh, hang on. Right there. Typical cup, Well, not really your typical cup. It was really good. And now the piece de resistance, the Toy Freddy head popcorn bucket. And let me just shut off this light to show you that the eyes glow. Okay, as you can probably see faint glimmer, but boom, his eyes glow. Truth be told, just like how they glows in the movie and stuff like that whenever the toy animatronics are pissed. So, there's that. But, so, what you do to get the popcorn in, you just pretty much put it right there on his hat. So, it's kind of cool how it just snapped back into place. This also doubles as a mask. You can see the strap, like right there. I haven't figured out how to safely prop this open without looking like I'm breaking it, so for the sanity of this, until I actually figure this out, I'm going to leave it like this. But I will say that yes, this piece does pop off. As you can see, that's why there's a line there, right here. This comes off, and you can actually wear it like how it actually goes in like the movie and stuff like that. So that's actually really good. Very good attention to detail. And on the inside, you see the endoskeleton, pretty much like how animatronics usually work. So yes, I will be honest with you. I'm not even gonna lie. This set me back about $60. So for all that, we're not gonna jump into how much I actually spent at AMC for it, but I will say that I told myself I was going to be saving up for this movie premiere. I didn't care what the price was for all these stuff. It was going to be worth it because Five Nights at Freddy's, the movies, means a lot to me. So yeah, this will not be used as a popcorn bucket. It's probably just going to be on display just because the quality of this is amazing. So there's that. And finally, I got one more thing. Because like I said, I did go to the movie premiere. So they handed out a very limited amount of these because, as you can, a lot of people probably didn't see from AMC's website, but anybody who had a ticket for the opening night premiere got an exclusive gift. And if you go to their Instagram/Twitter/Facebook page, AMC's, not FNAF, you'll see that they do. They're giving them away as, I don't know if all AMC locations are doing this, because not a lot of times that you'll see places be doing like premieres for movies. So my AMC, I was lucky, so there's that. But we got this exclusive limited edition Five Nights at Freddy's 2 full size. So it's not a mini poster, but it's a full size poster. So yep, it's pretty much looks like one that you see in the movie and stuff like that. It's very, very cool, very exclusive. See the original gang. You see that like in the movie, not even just in the second one, but in the first one too. This one is a poster that is hung up on the wall of the original movie and game. So that's really cool. I'm probably going to get this framed and stuff like that. This is amazing. I'm glad that they gave us it. I'm glad that this is a full-size poster, not a mini one. So, but yeah, no, that was pretty much everything as far as what I got from AMC. That's pretty much all they really had to really offer. There was a limited edition Five Nights at Freddy's or Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria pizza box, but I wasn't really gonna get that. I got like another pizza box from the first movie. That one was more of like their flatbread pizza and stuff. So the other one was a actual box. So there's that. But as far as yeah, no, and I didn't know for certain if I wanted to get it anyway. But truthfully be told, looking back on it, that would have been very cool. But I just didn't really want to waste the box because I wouldn't be wasting. But where I seen how AMC sometimes does their pizza, this is not This is not a hate towards AMC. I'll just say because every pizza, anybody who's ever had pizza knows that pizza is very greasy and stuff like that. And I didn't want to have a ruined box, so it was more of I was trying to just get some souvenirs and stuff like that. So there's that. Now, as far as an actual spoiler-free review with a bit of spoiler sprinkles in there, be warned, I'm going to give you guys about 10 seconds to click away, just in case if you don't really want to be spoiled or just in case you want to watch this movie yourself. So, timer starts. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, so now that the people who's already seen the movie is ready to hear my review on it, I will just go ahead and say that this movie is definitely for the fans. I wouldn't say it's for the critics. It's more along the lines of saying that this movie is definitely worth, I will say it's definitely worth watching in theaters and spending your money on. As much money as I spent, probably not, truth be told, unless you're like that. Maybe it's just me. But truthfully, I tell myself that I only give myself about 4 movies a year to really go all out. This year's movies were Sonic, No, it wasn't. That was last year. Sorry. This year, truthfully, was FNAF 2. I can't think of any other ones. Truthfully, oh yeah, FNAF 2, Demon Slayer. I think that's it. Those are really the only two movies that I went really all out for. And if you want to check out my Demon Slayer review, you can check it out on my channel and stuff like that. So there's that. But going back to Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I will say, like I said before, this movie is for the fans. So look forward to seeing that when you get into it. I will not lie. I went into this movie like already excited and stuff like that. But I will say that this movie is perfectly definitely setting up for a third movie. That much is very much obvious, because I will say, and I'm going to tell you more about that at the end of the video. But looking back, like what's kind of crazy, like the good things that I've enjoyed about this movie, there's very, very little bad parts about it. But the good part is like the voice acting. You got to give it to like Megan Fox for Toy Chica and Matt Pat for Toy Bonnie, because they did a phenomenal job on the role. You can hardly even tell that it's Matt Pat or Megan Fox. You really have to really just like kind of listen for it. Megan Fox is a little bit more in there. You can tell that she's voicing her. But when I first heard Toy Bonnie, I was just like, I know it's Matt Pat, but like that voice sounds so different than what I'm normally, because I guess like probably just like everybody else that saw it, we were expecting those like be more of saying like his iconic lines are like, "Hello internet, welcome to Five Nights at Freddy's," you know, pretty much all that. So you know, it's kind of cool. But the animatronics themselves, let's dive into that one real fast, right? The animatronics themselves are way worth it, as far as like the I forgot who did it. It's like, it's a horror shop. I feel so bad actually not knowing who. Like, it's like a puppet shop that did it. But they do really great work and stuff like that. And honestly, forgive me for not knowing officially who made the animatronics, but like I will say that they did a phenomenal job on every single animatronic that you see in this movie, from the marionette to Mangle to Toy Bonnie, Toy Freddy, Toy Chica, the withered animatronics, and stuff like that. And slight spoiler, you'll also see that Shadow Bonnie is also in the movie. It's more of like a, if you blink, you'll miss it type moment, but it's more towards when, you know, kind of obvious things will happen in the game. Like Mike ends up going into the office and stuff like that. You see in the trailer when he like also puts on the Freddy head and stuff like that. Like that moment in the movie, like that, like if you like blink, you'll probably miss it, but there is a glimpse that you will see of Shadow Bonnie and stuff like that. So look forward to that as well. Again, like I said, this movie is definitely for the fans 100%. The absolute detail and the Easter eggs that are in this movie. Like when I saw this, I was going into it and I was thinking to myself, this is already going to be amazing, right? The trailers were so good. They already hyped it up very much so with the first one. We knew what we were getting into with the second one. And it definitely shows as a very good, it's a sequel prequel, or a prequel sequel, how it goes. You know, there's flashbacks, because this, of course, as you know, FNAF 2 is a prequel to FNAF 1. And leading into it, I will also say that this movie is going to be also leading into FNAF 3. That much is not really a spoiler. If not William Afton, technically it is William Afton. Matthew Lillard has already confirmed that he signed off on 3 Five Nights at Freddy's movies. So, of course, and I will go ahead and get this one out of the way. You do want to stay for the full ending until the credits fully get done rolling. One, because, of course, the Living Tombstone got in there. It's been so long, and I will go ahead and say that my entire theater, we were all pretty much doing like a live concert with the Living Tombstone and stuff like that. Like everybody knew what they were like. We were all, it was for the fans, dudes. I'm just saying, like it's absolutely awesome. The fact that like there were so many fans, like me included, I couldn't help myself, but literally sing the Living Tombstone when the credits started rolling and stuff like that. And it was like, it's so catchy. It was amazing. It's something that you only get for certain movie going experiences. Like the only other type of thing that I've experienced maybe was with the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie when they played that Five Nights at Freddy's theme song. That one was similar to this one as well, but this one I feel like had a little bit more energy because of how well the movie actually did. Especially on, from what I heard, it was a $20 million budget, but it's made like quadruple that already so far in the first 2 days. So I'm looking forward to the like how this is going to go for its theatric run. And truthfully, me personally, I definitely see it more. I want to honestly, hopefully say that this is probably going to be a $500 million movie at the very end of its run in theaters. And me personally, I'm probably going to be watching it one, maybe two more times in theaters before it hits digital. From what I've gathered, I think Blumhouse is planning on releasing this digitally on the 23rd of this month. So I don't know if it's true or not. I think they have a very good, like a very reputable habit of releasing their movies digital around like 2 weeks after it premieres. They did that with Megan and Megan 2. So there's that as well. So I will say, spoiler, mega spoilers for going to be going into the third movie for the mid and post credit scene. Although the very post credit scene is not really a scene, it's more of an audio thing. Kind of like how in the first one you hear like Golden Freddy saying like it's me or something else like that. But jumping into the mid credit scene, it's an actual scene and other people are going in there. There's these two guys that are setting up, as you know from the third game, they're doing a Fazbear's Fright horror attraction and stuff in dedication to Five Nights at Freddy's, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Well, they set that up. There's three guys go in there looking for some stuff that they can use for Fazbear's Fright. And, of course, they go into the original, not the newer. They go into the newer, not the older location, the one with the toys. The toy animatronics, they don't go into that one. They go into the original Fazbear's Pizzeria, the one that we see in the first movie. In the back room, they find Springtrap, William Afton. You don't get a glimpse of him very well, but they do show him, and you do show exactly how well that they're setting this up for the third movie. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'm super, super excited for what they're planning on doing for the third movie. Fingers crossed. Fingers absolutely crossed that the third movie, it's most likely going to be PG-13, but like I said, fingers crossed that we go for that R rating, because truth be told, that, like I said, anybody who knows the story of FNAF 3 knows that is a rotting corpse inside that spring lock suit. So I'm just saying, they're probably going to either push the boundaries very well on the PG-13, or they're just going to just slam it into the wall, and they're going to be saying, let's go R-rated. Now, me personally, what they should do is what they did with like Megan and Megan 2. What they do is they release a PG-13 version in theaters, and then on digital, they release a unrated R-rated cut. Or, I guess, unrated, more like, where it shows like a lot more gruesome stuff. Me personally, that's what would really drive sales for people wanting to pre-order and buy the digital or physical copies of the series and stuff like that. They should really start doing that, But going back my initial thoughts, the only negative that I will really say is just the fact that it wasn't a longer run. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Even parts that I had no idea about, like going into it, like on the beginning, I will just say it opens up with a flashback sequence of a young Vanessa, and of course, as you guys know from the game, Charlotte, which essentially she becomes the marionette. It opens up with Charlotte waiting on the marionette for they're at the older location, the one with the toy animatronics, and the marionette is kind of in this trap door, as you guys know from the layout of the second game. Well, turns out that Charlotte kind of feels herself more as like an outcast, not really having much friends, kind of like Abby, essentially, which is probably why I feel so in a way kind of similar to that style of like person and stuff like that, like, you know, the outcasts and stuff like that. Those are the cool people. Stay away from normal people. That's all I'm saying. But essentially it goes to where William Afton, Matthew Lillard's character, he dresses as the Yellow Rabbit. He takes a victim, Charlotte sees, and what ends up, it's so creepy the way they set this up for the marionette throughout the rest of the movie. I will just go ahead and say there were the scares in this movie. They're not really there that much, but it's mostly due with the marionette that really, really, like, actually scared a little bit of me, a little bit when I was watching. Like, there's this jump scare where, and this is a heavy spoiler, but like when Charlotte essentially possesses Abby later on in the very end of the movie, not at the very end, but the final fight and stuff like that, you see that Abby gets possessed by the marionette and stuff like that. And what's so, well, Toy Chica is kind of carrying Abby off to her bedroom to kind of put her to sleep. And like I said, this isn't going to be like a partial spoiler, partial not spoiler review. I'm not going to do a review of the whole movie because it's still like within like the first 3 or 4 days. So you guys definitely should go and watch it yourselves. But what I will say is that, like, you know, Abby's attending school now. Mike is essentially doesn't really know if he is going out with Vanessa, but I feel like we all know that those two are pretty much together. They're hinting at it. And it's kind of funny because they go out on a date and they're just like, is this a date? And then Vanessa's just like, what? And he's like, hey, this is a great day, you know? And Abby kind of gives him shit over that because he's saying, like, have you kissed her yet? What are you talking about, Abby? And he's just like, well, you guys are going out together, right? Yeah. Well, then it's a date? No, it's not that. Then why can't I go? Because you can't. And it's just going back and forth like casual brother-sister like banter and stuff like that. It's like so funny. Like she's giving him hell because she was like, come on, man. Mike is definitely wanting to tap that. You know, anybody. It's work. Yeah, it's Vanessa. Are you kidding me? She's amazing. But going back to it, Abby's attending school. She's essentially like the social freak because, and here's another big spoiler, even because I didn't know this, the aunt in the first movie, apparently Golden Freddy actually did not kill her. Like, we honestly thought that, like, he did. That is not all what happened. Apparently, he actually did just put her to sleep. Because you find out in the second one, in this one, that the aunt is actually locked up in an asylum, and because, like, she's saying that she's seen giant teddy bears and all that stuff, and it's kind of awakened like this whole thing in the community saying that that's why they now have Faz Fest and stuff like that, which is essentially what we already do in the real world. I feel all we're missing is just a real life Freddy Fazbear's location, you know. Hopefully we get that, hoping. But but going back to it and stuff like that, like her teacher, I will just go ahead and say Abby's teacher, she's attending like a robotics thing because why wouldn't she? You know, why wouldn't she? That's why you see in the trailer she's assembling like this miniature little toy thing of Chica, because essentially I'm assuming that Abby and Chica, those two are like best friends, dude. But yeah, no, like Megan, like going back to Toy Chica, Megan Fox does a phenomenal job as like the voice and stuff like that. But also looking back, so going back to the teacher, he's like a huge dick, right? So he's saying like, hey man, Abby, we know you want to participate in this, but I don't think you're going to be any good at this like science fair project. You're absolutely like trash. He doesn't call her trash, but he definitely implies that she's a freak. She does not deserve any type of recognition because I don't know why. You know, I just don't know. And what I love most is that when I feel like for me personally, I literally only heard this dude talk for like 5 seconds before I was just like, I hope this bitch gets capped 100%. Because first of all, you don't want to crush a child's dreams like that. And secondly, you also see that she does, Abby attempts to model like a type of Chica version, you know, and stuff. But then she gets her fast talker, which that's going around the internet, and you see that it's like that little green thing with Freddy's face that talks to her and stuff, communicates. Turns out, by the way, that it's just Charlotte talking to Abby from the old location because she can't leave because Vanessa put a perimeter lock around that building. That's why we never see the toy animatronics. So there's that mega spoiler right there. The fast talker is all Charlotte, the marionette, talking to Abby. But, truth be told, because another big spoiler, the marionette is the only haunted thing in that original location. The marionette controls the other toy animatronics and stuff like that. So there's that. And so Abby after the friggin' dickhead teacher badmouths her, she gets her fast talker from the original location from the first movie. She gets the fast talker because apparently it's a prize that you get to win with like tickets. And what ends up happening is that what she does, she gets the fast talker from that location. Charlotte starts talking to her, leads her to the newer location or the older location that she's never seen before. And what ends up happening is that she ends up, meeting up with Chica again. And then you hear the voice acting for Megan Fox. You don't really hear the voice acting for Mac Pat until they're after the perimeter's already down. But there's that. And then afterwards, so essentially Freddy and Chica, you do see both of them. They help Abby perfect her actual thing in time for the science fair project. And little do you know what obvious fucking thing happens. She shows up to the science fair. The fucking dickhead teacher destroys her toy and saying like, oh, Butterfingers, you know what? How about this? I'll give you a passing grade for this. Just go home and relax. Because basically they're saying like, hey, we don't want you here. Go home and get out. And it's just like, what's so funny is that during that whole sequence after he destroys her toy, quite literally you hear a child in the back that says like, you're a dick, Mr. Grunge. And he's just like, what? Who said that? And it's just like, dude, I feel like we all thought that, right? So I'm just saying, it's that, dude, you want this bitch to die, right? Luckily, Abby goes to the pizzeria, contacts with the real toy Chica, not like the actual model, but the real toy Chica, the one that's being controlled by Charlotte. And I'm not going to delve too deep into how the perimeter lock opens because you can experience that yourself. But I'll just go ahead and say that Chica and the others do get the perimeter lock down because of Abby mostly. And what ends up happening is that Chica essentially tells her, Abby goes like, you know what? I'll be your science fair project. Nothing can destroy me. So, they take a cab to the back to the science fair, and bada bing, bada boom. You want to know who that taxi driver is? Corey X. Kenshin. He is back in it, and he is just as fed up with driving around weirdos and stuff like that. It's so funny. And so they get to it, and little D, what else is new? Abby shows up with a real robot animatronic that actually is blinking and talking and stuff like that. And he's just like, this is an abomination in front of robotics and stuff like that. Get out of here before you embarrass yourself and all that other stuff. And what's so crazy, right, is that he thinks that it's just someone inside of the animatronic suit. And it's just like, no, dude, that's a real animatronic it's real. It's moving on its own. So he thinks. Or so Abby thinks, but being controlled by Charlotte the marionette, But going back again, this leads into after essentially, and I'll just go ahead and say this too, that fucking teacher, Mr. Grunge, does in fact get killed by Toy Chica because why wouldn't he? He literally badmouthed our girl and literally in front of Chica, by the way, her best friend. So quite literally, she takes it upon herself and she says the coldest line I've ever seen, right? She finds him as he's going in the back and stuff like that. And he goes like, Mr. Grunge. I'm not really sure if it's also Mr. Grunge either. It is Mr. G, I think. But she catches up with him, pulls him into a empty classroom, and then he goes like, I want to talk to you about Abby's grade. And then he's just like, oh, I'll give her an A. I'll give her an A. Go like, that's not good enough. I want to see what's going on inside your head. Picks him up by the head and does a Michael Myers type bullshit. She crushes his head with her hands, and then she says the funniest line immediately after that. She says like, yep, that's what I thought. There's nothing in your head at all. And then it leads into Abby winning the science fair and stuff like that and all that stuff. And eventually you do see the withered animatronics during that whole sequence. I'm not going to delve in too much details, even though I feel like I've already have. But yeah, you know, that happens. Chica takes Abby back home after winning. And then essentially what's so crazy, the reason why, and I will go ahead and say that the other animatronics are kind of deactivated, like Bonnie and Freddy and Mangle. They're all deactivated and stuff like that during that time. I'm not going to say how, but only Chica is moving, and the reason being is because the marionette, Charlotte, is inside Chica, which then after they get home to Mike and Abby's new home, Chica's chest cavity breaks open, revealing the marionette's hiding inside. The marionette lunges at Abby, possesses her, and all that stuff. So I will say that sequence and the fact that you just see Abby crawling around with that dark makeup look of the marionette is so spine chilling to me, because especially when you hear her laugh, and it's like, dude, it is so creepy, dude. I'm just saying it's worth seeing, because I probably jumped at least like twice during that whole sequence. Just because, like, you see, like, the marionette jumping at you. It's kind of like how well it does, like, in the game, how it jump scares you. And you think you're prepared for it, and then it hits you, dude. It hits you, and it's so creepy. But there's that, right? There's that. That's essentially basically the whole premise. I left out a few things. Go and watch it yourself. But I will go ahead and say that this, like I said in the beginning of the video, this movie is for the fans. So look forward to this movie, because it is going to blow your expectations out of the water. I've been seeing a lot of reviews online from other big people like IGN and all that other shit labeling this movie as like awful and stuff like that, like 2.5 stars out of 10 or 5, saying like, you know, this is meant to be. And it's like, it's not something that an everyday average Joe movie watcher is going to get, because there's bits and pieces sky around that's not going to make any sense. But like I said, this movie is for the hardcore Five Nights at Freddy's fans. I'm just saying that is what it is. So there's that. But I'm also just going to go ahead and say that look forward to it when you go and watch it. So my honest review for this movie is a 10 out of 10. It definitely deserves it, just like the first one. But here's the thing. You know what? I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Only for I'm saving that one just because of the fact that it's building up to Springtrap. And anybody who knows me personally knows that Springtrap is one of my favorite, even though Matthew, like, maybe it's just because it's Matthew Lillard, but Springtrap has the best animatronic design ever next to Foxy. So I'm like, you know, I'm just saying. Oh, and Toy Chica, of course, you know, but that's for a different reason. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But I'll just go ahead and say this, right? I'll just go ahead and say this. Enjoy the movie. It's definitely worth watching with fans. And if your local theater has it, I will go ahead and say go to your local AMC, because they have the best hookup and stuff like that. So absolutely ignore my cupcake. He's a little bit, you know, as he's saying, you know. But yeah, no, go ahead and watch it at your local theater and stuff like that, and then buy it on digital whenever it comes out. You want to support this movie, because this is definitely building up for the third movie entirely. Oh, and before I go, I will also mention that Skeet Ulrich's character, he's not fully revealed who he is until the post voice scene that you hear and see during the after credits. So I will go ahead and say that's why you want to stick around for the very end. Like, you do see, like, that Mike interacts with him and stuff like that, because he ends up being, you know what, go and watch that one for yourself. it's kind of interesting how Skeet Ulrich plays a role in this movie and stuff like that. It's definitely worth it. So, but anyway, yes, that is my spoiler-esque, spoiler-free review of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 out of theater reaction. It's amazing. Go and watch it with your friends, your family, your dog, your mother, your father, everybody who is a big fan of FNAF. I even bought this special t-shirt. But yeah, go and watch it and help make this movie, franchise, saga, however you want to see it, this movie trilogy, as it probably will be a trilogy, unless they decide to do a fourth one. You know, it's up to them. But anyway, yeah, no, I'm Xenoheart13, and this has been my spoiler-free review of the newly released Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Go and watch it yourselves, and I'll catch you all in the next video. And as always, peace.